Call the meeting of the Moberly City Council to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jeffrey.
Present.
Brubaker.
Here.
Kimmons. Kaiser.
Here.
Lucas.
Present. Thank you. You all had a copy of the agenda for this evening. Are there any additions, corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Had the minutes from the last meeting that are in the city council packet. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from the last meeting? Hearing nothing, I'd entertain a motion to approve. So moved. And a second.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on. First up, we'll have a presentation of Missouri Registered City Clerk certification from Melissa Strott. Would you please come forward?
Good evening. My name is Melissa Stratt. I'm with the City of Camdenton. I'm a Deputy City Clerk and Treasurer. I am also the Central Liaison for the Missouri City Clerk and Finance Officers Association, and I'm here tonight to recognize Shannon for obtaining her Missouri Registered City Clerk designation. The Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association has a membership of approximately 516 clerks and is dedicated to the education of city clerks and finance officers throughout the state of Missouri. With the ever-changing state statutes and rules governing cities, it is vital that someone be kept current on those changes and regulations. MOCCFOA takes this role very seriously and will continue to strive to ensure that the education provided is relevant to the needs and the positions we cover. Additionally, you as the elected officials are to be commended for your continued support of Shannon as she works towards this certification. It clearly demonstrates that you recognize that the knowledge she receives at these educational sessions is of great benefit to you, other city staff, and your citizens. I, on behalf of the MOCCFOA state level and central division, want to congratulate and give best wishes to Shannon as she continues her commitment to lifelong learning, career, and service to the city of Moberly.
Congratulations, Shannon. So at this time, I would ask that Oscar and Ruby Williams please join me at the dais or at the microphone there. I'd also ask council to join me in front for our presentation. This is a proclamation of Oscar Williams. Year raised show your children that you care for them. First, that's your power and tremendous. Thank you for dedicating lives, taking lives. Okay, before this next presentation, I would ask that anyone who had any role in the Mendon train derailment, would you please stand at this point? If you're not already standing in the back. Okay, so we have a proclamation we're going to present, and if you were involved with this and you'd like to come forward for the proclamation, I'd ask council to come back in front and we'll give this proclamation. I need to. Yeah. Yeah, we got things out here. You guys are all right. Just okay. So this is a proclamation from the city of Moberly, Missouri, whereas on June 27, 2022, an Amtrak train traveling from Los Angeles to Chicago derailed 8 cars and 2 locomotives after striking a truck that was obstructing a public crossing near Mendon, Missouri. And whereas crews reported numerous injuries among the 207 passengers and 12 crew members aboard. And whereas the generosity and support received from area organizations and citizens of Moberly was outstanding. And whereas the Moberly City Council sincerely thanks all entities and individuals that offered support, supplies, food, medical assistance, lodging, transportation, and more. And I now, therefore, am pleased to join the Moberly City Council in honoring our community for the role they played in assisting with this tragedy in Mendon, Missouri. And want to extend a healthy congratulations to everyone and congratulate you on a great job. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
There's our crowd. Yeah, we should have said that to last.
Okay, so we'll move ahead with number 5, a resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I have a resolution accepting the bid of County Bank for financing of a 2022 Rosenbauer fire pumper truck. Has to be read for consideration.
All right, for the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
So move.
It's been motioned and
Second,
seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
How about again? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading. First and only reading.
A resolution accepting the bid of County Bank for financing of a 2022 Rosenbauer fire pumper truck.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I abstain.
One abstention, clerk. Motion carries. Resolution is passed. Number 6, resolution.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution approving an employment agreement between the City of Moberly, Missouri and Brian Crane and authorizing the Mayor of Moberly to execute the agreement on behalf of the city. That's where to be read for consideration.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution approving an employment agreement between the City of Moberly, Missouri and Brian Crane and authorizing the Mayor of Moberly to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Any further discussion? This is a for life term, is that right? Hearing nothing, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution passes. Moving on to number 7, resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution appropriating money out of the treasury of the City of Moberly, Missouri in the amount of $904,783.89 and asking to be read once for consideration of passage.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
First and only reading.
A resolution appropriating money out of the treasury of the City of Moberly, Missouri in the amount of $904,783.89.
I hereby certify that there is sufficient money standing to the credit of the City of Moberly, Missouri, unappropriated and several funds covered by this resolution to meet the requirements of this resolution. Submitted Gregory L. Hodge, City Treasurer. Any discussion of the resolution? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution is passed. Moving on, if there is anyone that has a desire to speak to any of the issues on the agenda this evening or anything else at the council, please turn in your registration card and you'll have up to 4 minutes to address the council. With that said, we'll move on to number 8, which is the appointment to the Tourism Advisory Commission.
Yes, Mayor, we received a resignation from Stacy Hammondtree, our hotel representative on that board. They do have a new general manager, John Menace, whose application's been submitted for consideration.
All right, any discussion of the candidate? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Appointment is approved. Moving to number 9, appointment to the Board of Adjustment.
Yes, Mayor, we had one opening on the Board of Adjustment. We do have one application on file. Name is Melissa Anderson.
All right, discussion of the candidate. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Appointment is confirmed. Moving on to number 10, proposals from the Tourism Advisory Commission.
Yes, Mayor, we received a recommendation from the Tourism Advisory Commission to approve 2 grants. One was for Junk Junction in the amount up to $1,000. The second one was Moberly Community Betterment for $1,000.
Okay. Questions about any of the applications or the recommendation? I guess after making a lot of comments and seeing these applications, I want to thank you two, Megan, especially for finally putting on numbers. 6,000 attendees, 125 vendors. That's what that whole section is for, to quantify what impact. So thank you. All right. Anyone else? Nothing else. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries and they're approved. All right. Is there anything else to come in front of council this evening? All right.
You had,
Yep.
you had one person.
Yeah. Wait.
Or I could just use my teacher voice. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to say that I've had lots of good experiences with lots of city services. I've never had a problem ever with the police department. They always do what they're supposed to do. And I want to say that when my husband was sick, the fire department had to come several times and help me. And I thought that was absolutely great. And that our park department is just above reproach about everything. I think they do a marvelous job with our park. I'm here tonight because of trash collection. And I think you can see what the problem is here, is that because we have Moberly people supervised by Moberly people on most services that the city offers, but we don't on the trash service. And I think that's a problem. In my neighborhood, we sometimes get the trash guy comes on the day he's supposed to. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he comes the next day. Sometimes he doesn't. I have had lots of trouble with my recycling lately. One, I left my recycling out there for over a week and made some calls, and finally they came, but it was just dumped in the regular trash 2 weeks after that. And I know that we're stuck in a situation with a contract. I want you to think about what you can do to somehow change the contract or have somebody who's responsible where a complaint can be made and something can be done to handle that. And I go back to the early days in League of Women Voters when we first got recycling instituted in the city and how much we really want that to be done because it reduces the amount of trash in the landfill. You know, it's good for ecology. I just want some study to be done as to what can we do to better serve the citizens of Moberly in that regard.
Okay. And believe me, this has not been a subject that we've not been working on for quite
I
some
know.
time. So I guess for a unified reply to that, Mr. Crane, why don't you give a short summary of what we are working on right at the moment?
Yeah, I think, thank you, Mayor, and thanks for the comments. I think those are all questions and concerns we've heard from not only you, but quite a few. And I would say that we are currently in discussions with Waste Management and negotiations on ways to improve that service.
Okay, that sounds great.
So we'll keep you posted as we
Okay.
continue down that road.
And maybe kind of come across with that in the radio show or in the paper or something so people know that you're kind of working on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I want to make another comment about a possible need for another road in Moberly. I know with the new development that's going in on Route M there on the other side of where Nellie's was, there's a lot of traffic on that road anyway. There's a lot of traffic that intersection. Living in Ridgeline Drive, when I'm coming, if I'm going to town, lately I've most of the time turn on Gratz Brown and come in that way. But during school time, there's 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon when you can't use that road. So if you come on up to the other one, it would be nice if there was at least one through road that went from Route M to the north where you could, so all the traffic didn't have to go through that one particular intersection. And I know that's probably kind of tricky to do at this point because development has gone on. But maybe we need to look at, because of the growth in Moberly and what we're doing, where can we make some arterial streets in there that would help the traffic flow a little bit better? Just a thought.
All right.
And I thank you for letting me give you my opinions.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Okay, before we end the meeting this evening, there's a young man that I want to make a presentation to, and I wish that Eric Dewitt joined me in the front. This is his last meeting. This year, been Eric number County. Okay, so if there is no one else that would like to address council about anything, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before you do that, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
It's really easy. It's a follow up to Nancy's question or comment about a place where people go to complain. Am I correct that they call your department, Tom, today, or is that not official? Yeah, trash.
Getting started up. Sometimes they can work through utilities on that. That's one of the things we're discussing with Waste Management is how that would operate going forward. But like as far as missed pickups, things like that, we encourage to call an 800 number because that we're just being a pass through on that, but people follow up and try to get help.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor.
So basically, you are saying Waste Management for complaint.
They have a hotline. Sometimes they're difficult to get a hold of. So in some cases, we follow up with those and are able to have success, but kind of in the same boat. A lot of times we end up getting a service center as well.
Okay. Dana, were you wanting to make? Please come up to the front. That way where I can hear it.
We were doing a little math today in the water billing office, and we estimated among staff that about 40% of our phone calls are to do with waste management service.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's significant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Okay, so if there's nothing else coming in front of the council, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn from the regular session, and we'll adjourn to work session.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Brubaker,
Yes.
Kimmons, Kaiser,
Yes.
Lucas.
Yes.
All right. So we are adjourned from regular session, and we'll move to the work session and take up that agenda. And first on that agenda is discussion regarding the Tannehill water line construction project.
So we have two items, council, for the Tannehill project. One of them is receipt of bids. The other is about awarding the contract to the winning bidder. I'm prepared to answer any questions about either that you may have.
What's the timeline on this replacement?
Timeline is estimated to take as few as 2 and as much as 6 months, depending on the weather and depending on availability of materials. And once we give the contractor the go-ahead, he'll be better able to give us an idea of what that is.
Okay. Anyone else?
I noticed the change in price. When was it originally bid versus the change in price now? How far apart was it?
The construction cost estimate was from as much as 2, if not 3 years ago.
Okay, that makes sense then.
That's the reason why. Yeah, this was kind of the test project, along with another one that we bid out to see what the modern construction costs were going to cost us, so we could look at other projects and do some heavy thinking.
Things have changed a little bit, haven't they?
It's a little bit of a new world.
Okay, so the first two items on the agenda, one is discussion and then the other one receipt of bids. So are we moved to the second? Is anyone opposed to the first one moving it forward? Okay, so then you got into discussion about bids, so you want to hit that one now.
So we advertised for bids and received bids from multiple companies, and by far the winning bid was not only the cheapest, but one that we had good confidence in could deliver the project for the price given and had experience working well with Moberly staff.
Questions, anyone? How do you think you see that big of a interval between bids? Is it labor cost? I mean,
It would be pure speculation on my part, but I know on my years of experience, there are contractors who have plenty of work. And so when an opportunity to bid comes along, they may be ultra conservative on their number to make sure that they don't have any financial risk. So their number may be elevated over their competitors who may be a bit more hungry.
all right, thank you. Anyone else? Mr.
Do we,
Kaiser.
do we offer any type of in our contracts? Do we offer any type of limitation on how much change orders can affect the price? Because I mean, we've had other contracts where they've literally doubled the price everything. I'm just worried about contractors that are underbidding to win the winning bid and then come back follow up change orders to uh, overprice things. So just curious, do we have anything in the language about that in our contracts?
No, we typically don't provide for that.
Okay.
Other than change orders have to be approved. Other than that, they have to be approved, but there's no maximum or minimum.
Okay, because that's my biggest concern is somebody coming in and significantly underbidding to win a bid and then just assume they're going to make it up and change order. So that was my question.
Okay.
And my second question, real fast, is
Sure.
if it wasn't for the junior high project, would we still be doing this project?
I had an answer rehearsed. I'm trying to recall it.
How about the
There's two very valid reasons why we would do this project. But first, it was identified as a priority 3 years ago during a water line study. If the council will recall that Moberly solicited a consulting firm to identify high priority water line projects, and Tannehill was not on that list, but it found its way on the list for two reasons. Number one, the current line is a 14-inch cast iron line. Cast iron lines of the age that they are in Moberly are prone to breakage.
Okay.
Number two, the path that the current line travels, which is in between the school and the post office, is very heavily congested, making a water line break there very high risk.
Okay.
So we will be well served by the new line.
Fair enough.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so then next up we have discussion regarding agreement for services associated with the utility bill payment kiosk.
This is the contract with U.S. Payments to provide the financial end of the bill paying kiosk. So it covers terms for the vendor to manage the transactions, make sure that the software sends the transactions where they need to mate up with our billing software, and supplies the transaction fee that was discussed at the last meeting.
So I know this is super interesting reading, but I assume you've hit the details of this so you're comfortable with it.
We are.
Mr. Brubaker.
Dana, it's probably in here and I probably missed it, but is there a guarantee or warranty on this?
Now, this is the contractor. We're referring to the kiosk itself.
The kiosk itself, yeah.
There's a 3-year guarantee as far as the service contract that we've entered into by purchasing the unit.
Okay.
So the vendor is able to remotely, real time, monitor the unit. So if the unit has any incident where it fails and they cannot perform services in real time online in order to get it back working, they will call out a repairman to come work on it.
And my next question, to kind of follow up on that, after 3 years, do you see us having to enter into a service contract, like an annual service contract? And if so, how much do they run?
I think that's very likely, and that we would want to still retain that service, but I would just be speculating on how much the cost would be. But it's going to have to be competitive given the cost of the unit, and
Right.
that we could a lot more easily change to a competitor's unit at that time than we can now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's got your department. So we'll move on to number 4, an ordinance establishing the tax levy for the city of Moberly, Missouri. for the year 2022. Ms. Green. Oh, I'm sorry. Clerk.
Mayor and Council, this ordinance follows state statutes and it must be adopted by September 1st of each year in order to collect taxes for the year. A public hearing was held on May 16th of this year, and the rates in the ordinance that will come to Council on August 15th will be approved by the Missouri State Auditor, and they're received from the county clerk around the first week in August of each year.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions about that? Anybody opposed to moving it forward? All right, that'll move forward to the next meeting. And we'll move on to number 5, application for rezoning.
So you can see on the diagram up here on the chart, the subdivision would create 6 lots there on the corner of Leah Lane and Terrell Road. Anybody that wasn't familiar would not recognize them as a difference from Deer Creek, which was other housing down through there. Same size lots, same type of layout. They aren't adding any new road infrastructure. They'll be using the existing roads for access. They will be adding some additional extensions on the water and sewer. So nothing real complex there. E&Z was in favor. One thing that came up was this lack of sidewalk on there. So one parts of our living streets, we have sidewalks to look at, and so there, Southridge had to put sidewalks in down there, so we have requested that. There were a few residents who showed up at the meeting as well and talking about the traffic down through there and walking, felt like sidewalks needed to be through there completely. So that was one of the things that we did add, and they did agree to that meeting to sidewalks as part of the thought.
Questions, anyone? So if I understand where this is this purchased by these particular applicants of this property from someone else?
Yes.
And so where is the hole that we filled in the vicinity of those blocks?
Just behind it.
So it doesn't include this particular property?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
However, I have met with the person you're asking about, and they have need to pay that.
Okay, well, I think it's further on in the work session. There's another zoning issue that's connected to that person, so
okay,
we can bring it up then. Okay. Anyone opposed to moving that forward? All right, that'll move forward to the next meeting. And so then we'll move on to number 6, an application for rezoning by Charles Johnston.
So you see in that diagram, the blue lot there is that lot, and the ones on both sides that are zoned commercial B3. And there was an application several years ago where they were going to put a roofing company in there one time, and it does adjoin the railroad tracks, so it's connected up to a commercial kind of district. So they're wanting to rezone it for private storage, which is allowed in residential zones where it adjoins commercial. So we've also talked to property owners next door to that, and they agreed to rezone that. So lots to the west of it would be, we're going to work on getting those rezoned back to residential as well. There still would be commercial zoning to the east, also about the river. That's a commercial district, so P&Z was in favor of that.
All right, questions, anyone? Mr. Kaiser, I know you were there.
Yeah, it was pretty unanimous that everybody was okay with turning that back to residential. One question to make sure was is that the building that they're talking about for storage would be a residential building, not a commercial building, so that appear part of the neighborhood. And Aaron Decker assured us that he would monitor and make sure that that conformed.
All right, thank you. Anyone opposed to moving that to the regular meeting? All right, that item will move on to the regular council meeting. And we'll move to number 7, an application of rezoning a minor subdivision development plan submitted by JAD Properties.
And this one is right Cannon and Highway 24, the plumbing supply store has been a renovation. This is the larger of the two buildings you see on that parcel right there, and then to the left of it, the smaller one is the restaurant from years ago that they are working on white boxing right now, but they are doing renovations on this point. Lot was split up, and so the zoning was different on the north lot than it was the south, so they're combining it all into one zoning district. So the application was a rezoning to unify the property and to create 5 individual lots there. Like you see there, kind of developer divided it up more or less to split sewer lines and tracks would be on the parcel divides, and that felt like that was the best layout. There's no plans for internal roads. All lots are accessible. We're off Buchanan. We're off 20.
Okay. Questions, anyone?
Just this is kind of a bit off. You said the old restaurant building, that was also a gas station, wasn't it?
Probably it's. I don't recall.
Just wondered if the tanks had been removed.
I don't know. I don't know. That would be something that I could check with DNR on.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, you brought up about the previous issue with
Yeah.
unpaid stuff. I would be fine with us tabling this until it's paid and pick it up in council.
Well, if I understood
we're
Mr. Sanders correctly, is there some development about that lien that was placed on the other property by this?
They were agreeable, but it hasn't been solved.
Are we allowed to do that, Randall?
Well, our code requires the council to act on these actions from planning and zoning at the next regularly scheduled meeting. So
I guess we could vote against it.
it has to be taken up.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So we
All right.
move it. We can just, if it's
Okay.
not resolved by then, we can.
Okay, fair enough.
I guess my other question in regards to that is, doesn't the code dictate that would be paved in front of that building? It's still gravel. Why would that not be paved also?
So the building, the Butler Supply, but if something happens at that location, the gas station or other thing, they would have to do some paving there. They did some parking. You have to meet a certain minimum number of parking spaces, and the driveway approach has to be paved on the business. So I got to look back, and I can't tell you off the top of my head how many spaces, but they paved required number of parking spaces, and also I think the drive approach has been. I'll have to look back.
So if the other building becomes inactive service, then does that make it also part of that?
Yes, they'd have to pay whenever like the restaurant or gas station, whatever
Right.
it is. Whenever he gets a business in there, that would have to be meet minimum parking requirements based on the type of business use. Different things like a retail store would probably have a higher number of parking spaces than, for example, a supply store or something.
Okay, so it's dictated by parking spaces, not gravel versus pavement.
You have to have a minimum number. There are some criteria where you can retain gravel for a fee, or you can fence off a storage area or back to soil. So I don't have to go back and see what the circumstances are, but I know they did meet with them and they had some paving and parking and driveway, which is part of that business.
Well, I know when that was passed, and that was before my day, but that was a signal or something that was there to make those people have to pave some of these places that are gravel. So I just want to make sure we don't miss that because it.
No, I can look that up and I'll get your response back to everybody.
Okay, and the other issue too, as far as resolving the lien, I'm interested in that. So
I'll get your answer on
Okay.
both.
Okay. All right. Anyone opposed to moving it forward to the regular meeting? All right, then that will move forward. We'll move on to number 8, an application for text amendments submitted by the city of Moberly, Missouri.
So we have had multiple requests for storage buildings. We've kind of had to deal with them a little bit where they just kind of pop up. The initial draft you see there was to recommend not allowing them in residential neighborhoods. We have looked at other communities and found where they allow them under certain criteria where they have to be painted, placed on some kind of a spot, like a pad, and they also have to be like fixed up to, like Baldwin had a good example where they have to be painted to match the color or look of the house. Not just take this rusty shipping container with a big logo off of the ship and throw it in the backyard. That's what we're trying to avoid. So P&Z was in favor of allowing that with those criteria. Their thought was, and that was based on our conversation, was to come back to P&Z for approval. And like I say, in looking into it further, other communities have it where they have specific guidelines, has to match the house it's tied to, has to paint it up, maintained, and designed to look good where it's not an eyesore. And so I think we could probably find something like that, maybe bring it back to P&Z, see if they approved that. But that was the goal, just to try to avoid having those in the normal state, just in backyards.
Yeah, that's a definite issue. Questions, anyone? Anyone opposed to moving that to the regular meeting? Okay, that will move forward. We'll move on to number 9, request from the VFW to hold their annual Veterans Day Parade.
Yes, Mayor, we received this request from the VFW to hold that parade on November 12th for the Veterans Day Parade. It'll start on Adams and Johnson and work east towards Clark and disband. Public Safety's looked at this and recommends it.
Questions, anyone? Anyone opposed to moving that forward to the regular meeting? Hearing none, that will move forward. We'll move on to number 10, a resolution approving a lease agreement.
Yes, Mayor, we received a request from Toys for Tots to use 218 West Reed Street as their facility for this upcoming campaign this winter. We've done this in the past when that space has been available, and we are recommending it be approved.
Questions, anyone? Anyone opposed to moving that forward to the regular? No opposition, that will move forward. All right, then we'll move on to number 11, an ordinance establishing the annual tax for the imposition of a 911.
Yes, this is the tax for the telephone landline fees that's been passed by ordinance in 1994. We're asking that it be approved.
Questions, anyone? Anyone opposed to moving that forward to the regular meeting? All right, that will move forward. Next up will be number 12, receipt of bids for information technology administrator services. Mr. Hodge, you want to handle that one?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you see there, there's a bid tabulation of the bid results. We got 4 bids. Fusion Technology appears to be the low bid. It was there's also an analysis in there between that and the next closest bid of Midwest Computech. We had to kind of get some bits and pieces together to make them apples to apples.
Okay. Questions, anyone? All right. Is anyone opposed to moving that forward to the next meeting?
Mr. Mayor, for the record, I do not agree or disagree to move that forward due to the fact that this does involve me, so I'll be abstaining from any discussion or vote on this topic.
Very well, thank you. Anyone else opposed? Hearing no opposition, that'll move forward to the next regular meeting. And we'll move on to 13, receipt of bids for lease purchasing financing.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we put out 2 bids in addition to the IT services. The first one is for financing of a pair of dump trucks that we purchased recently. Those came back, and County Bank is the low bidder on that at 2.9%.
Okay. Questions about that item? It really escaped me, but I don't recall when we were approving to buy the trucks that we had discussed whether we were going to do a lease financing on. I thought we were just going to just buy them.
Yeah, basically the cost of the trucks, and with the supply issues that we've had, we had to pay quite a bit more in order to get the trucks. So that's really drove that decision to finance versus just paying it straight out of the budget.
So this would be a 3-year finance?
Yes, sir, and it'll be about $114,000 a year.
Okay. All right. Questions, anyone else? Anyone opposed to moving it forward?
I won't be voting for or against this, and I'll be abstaining next board meeting. City council meeting, excuse me.
All right. Anyone opposed to moving it forward? Hearing none, that'll move forward to the next meeting. And we'll end up with number 14, receipt of bids for lease purchase financing for a solar pavilion located at Rothwell Park.
Yes, sir. We put this out for bid, and we put a little caveat in there. We were trying to stay within the terms of the estimates, sorry, it escapes me, the payment amount
on there. Sorry, it happens when you get old. Anyway, we were shooting for keeping the payments around $36,000 approximately. But all of the bids that we received, they just kind of in my opinion, took the easy way out and just bid it for 20 years. So after looking at these, Central Bank was the low bid on that at 3.78%, and that was for that 20-year period. After talking with Mr. Bach on this, we do have time now to get this into the budget, so we want to shorten that period up to 15 years. It won't have any effect on the interest rate, but it will save us about $50,000 in financing costs over the life of that loan.
Okay, questions, anyone?
I have a question on the lease, current lease. Is there any prepayment penalty verbiage in there?
Typically there is. We haven't actually seen the agreements yet,
Okay.
but normally there's some language in there.
Okay. Thank you.
When we approved our budget, did we have this structured in the budget to do a lease purchase for this? Because I'm not recalling that either.
Yes, we had it originally budgeted at approximately $36,000, but Mr. Bach is good with coming back. Since we're paying in arrears, we won't be paying until the 23-24 budget, so we'll have time to get that bumped up a little bit to the 39 and change.
So could you just briefly explain what's the connection with it's a solar pavilion? Are we using that financial formula to come up with the funds for this, or what's the connection? Refresh my memory here.
Yeah, Mayor, we're getting the savings from the solar generation. Plus, we've got hometown strong money from Swift Prepared Foods.
Right.
And then whatever's additional on that will be run through the Parks and Rec budget.
So the amount of finance is going to be the difference between what we already have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's approximately $446,000 that we're financing out of the full amount of it was about $580,000.
I mean, I know we as councilmen are not going to retain this week to week, month to month, but I think at some point going over a schedule of all the different financings we have, because we've got equipment finance, we've got things out at the golf course finance. I mean, it gets to be quite an amount to look at and decide, well, where's the limit? Where's the line of should we do more or not? And I don't know any other way to do that without reviewing that from time to time. Mr. Brubeck.
Yeah, kind of along with that, I would like to, you may already get this, Tom, but you get like an annual report to show how much savings we've had because of the solar panels. And, I know we've talked about it, but I've never seen any results or. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
It's knocked our annual bills down quite a bit. We were running about anywhere from $14,000 to $16,000 a year utilities, and we're down to about 6,000, something like that. It's pretty significant.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. Questions? Any other questions? Anyone opposed to moving that forward to the regular council meeting?
No.
All right, hearing none, then that will move forward. That is the conclusion of the agenda for the work session. Is there anything else to come in front of the council for the work session? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.